Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Front Door Show. It is Friday night. Just got
Yeah,
paid now. And we have on the
and we're not
show.
at the bars.
Tell me about it. Well, some of us not at the bars.
Yeah,
They could be bar at the home, That's okay. But today's guest, actually, this is our second attempt, and because he had a misfortune, he had his basement flooded from that rain that was really bad,
yep.
and he ended up rescheduling. So thank God that everything. So James,
Yes, sir.
hey, do your introduction, because while you're doing that, I'm creating the watch party and sharing it and so forth. So
Go for it. I mean, James Davis, DJ Chicago, and I have a love of house, old school, underground, hip hop, everything you could think of, all the way back to the days of working on a reel to reel. um, it, where do you want me to start? From the very beginning, how I got interested in it? What?
okay, so let's break it down to this. Um, Very first time you touched the turntables, or you got interested in it, how old were you when this all happened for you?
7, 8 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So straight from diapers into the turntable, huh?
Exactly. Um, so what I ended up doing was I was, late night, always watching TV, and Beat Street came on, and that's literally like the segue movie for a lot of DJs, because everybody, and it really wasn't just music. It wasn't. It was more of the breakdancing,
You,
and
you
I
mean
was
you mean what I was responsible for?
exactly. The generation before me, but yeah, I mean, really and truly, man. I mean, it was about breakdancing at the time. Then I saw Run DMC, and when I saw Jam Master Jay for the first time on turntables, I was like, what the hell is that? What are you doing? And something in my brain, it clicked, and I was like, that's it. I want to do this.
So
I
was
got
it the quick, the scratching that he did?
exactly. That's exactly what it was, and it was just like, man, look at that. He's jacking a party. He's this. He's that. I want to do that. So it's exactly it's the way it went down, man. It's just like it's a lot of love for the industry, for the music, for the way everything came out, in the history of how it just evolved. So I mean, I literally just fell in love with it. I never touched a pair of 1200s until about 13,
Okay.
14 years old. The time between then, it was a road. We're talking perdition road, man. We got into this conversation of like, how did you start? What
I hope you're still, because I'm trying to make sure that we're hello, hello, hello. I believe we're still connected. Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. James, can you hear me? Um, it says you're connected, so I mean, hopefully you're connecting. You listen to me. Um, this is weird. Through my different. Can you hear me, James? Uh, let's see. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. This may be freeze on his part. I don't know what happened. I'll get him back on real quick. Hopefully he'll. Let's see what is going on because I see him. He's frozen. I'm still on. So, hello, hello, hello. So we're trying to get him back on, guys. I apologize for that. I'm not sure, oh, there, okay, there you go. Okay.
Okay, round two. So yeah, so Pump Boy, me and him are having a conversation, and we'll get into where it was later on because it's a conversation that took place in a certain area of Chicago that we all frequented very often, including you. So this will be interesting tonight. So me and him are sitting there, we're talking, and he tells me out front, he goes, yeah, he goes, my first set of equipment, he goes, I never had real turntables, couldn't afford them. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, I know the struggle is real. And he goes, he used to have, remember the old 8-track players that had the turntable on top?
Right.
So he had 2 of those, and he used to use his fingers to match the BPMs up together so he could blend with no mixer. And I started,
wow.
He's just like, no, you had it too. I go, dude, swear to God, I had the same setup. I go, I had 2 Zenith 8-track players with turntables. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, man. I go, it was insane. I go, we had something in common that was like a struggle for us, growing up, old neighborhood, parents worked for a living, didn't believe in their children wanting to be DJs, the same old story. And the way I actually got my first pair of turntables, there was an Indian family that lived next door to me, and the Indian mother used to tell me, "Would you walk my 2 daughters to school since you guys go to the same school?" I said, "Yeah." So she used to give me $1 each way to walk her 2 daughters to and from school to make sure they got to and from school safe.
So it took you 2 years to
It
get.
took me a long time and a lot of grass cutting and shoveling snow, but I finally bought my first pair of 1200s. And then I didn't know what kind of mixer to buy. So you can relate to this maybe. My first mixer was the old brown wooden side black with the blue trim pyramid mixer with the analog needles. Had the push button selectors. So yeah, I really started on some very low end stuff in the very beginning. But when I moved up, obviously it was like going from training wheels to driving a Cadillac. I mean, it was totally different. Obviously, I already knew the concept of blending and matching beats, and it was just you had to move forward from there. And once you got on a pair of 1200s, it was a matter of hours, man. And it was just like, forget it. I'm not getting off these things. And
And how about how old were you when this was the 1200s in front of you?
about 13.
Okay.
13. And I'll never forget it because I went to my mom with like 66 bucks. And she's like, where the, and I got yelled at because I had all this cash. She's like, where'd you get all this money from? And I'm like, Mom, I've been saving it. She goes, what have you been doing? And I go, I've been shoveling snow, cutting grass. Walking the girls next door to school. She's like,
hustling.
like, and this is what you want to do. I said, yeah. And she actually threw in another $200 that helped me get the mixer.
Okay. All right.
So it was funny because those old Zenith turntables, I actually had to keep them because I had to use them as amplifiers to run the speakers. So, I mean, it was a struggle, man. But eventually, as you started doing stuff in between then, I mean, I took gigs, dude, when I didn't even have real turntables. I called myself a DJ and I went and I did corporate parties playing tapes and 8-tracks,
Well, we did what we got to do. That was,
and I built the name. I worked a lot of venues, man, where it was just like, did you have this? Did you have that? So if you want to call me the king of not having certain songs at the time in the frame period, yeah, I was the king of it. But I got by. I made people happy. Played a lot of Eric Clapton, a lot of corporate parties.
I have to ask the obvious.
Yeah.
Why DJ Chicago though?
DJ New York didn't fit the scheme.
Wow.
So
I mean, but
um, you know what? I love the city, man. I love the city. Everybody came up with their own names. Everybody was, and I thought, why not be named after the greatest house music city in the world? You know, and that's straight from the heart, man. I mean, you know, and it's sad to say there's actually more than one DJ Chicago out there. I found out. So I was like, there's another guy that's out there. He's like 58 years old, but he's playing, you know, rave. He's playing techno, and I'm like, wow, you know, okay, I'd like to meet the guy someday. And there's another one out of Cincinnati, Ohio. You know, I haven't met both of them, but I have chit chatted with both of them on Facebook. There's no arguments with the names. There's no copyrights or anything. So it's like, it's all good. You know, everybody, they're like, look, you're in your own area. We're in our own area. It's like, all right. I just think it's funny being named DJ Chicago in Cincinnati and being DJ Chicago down in Tallahassee, Florida. It's just like a little weird. At least be in the city you're named after. But who am I to judge? You know, they're both great DJs. They're both good guys. I enjoy talking to them, you know.
So because of was at the time that you had became DJ Chicago, was Chicago house music at its top peak? Is that why you said, you know?
You know what? I thought I went through a phase of two names. It was DJ Chicago that came in probably about 1992.
Okay. See, that's why I was, they kind of threw me there, because then that means because that would have been an after fact.
Right. It was about 91, 92. Before that, when I started actually getting into playing, like I was collecting tons of vinyl. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Throughout the whole struggle of getting equipment, that's one thing I did. Gramophone and Hip House and Just Dance, they got so much money out of me, I should own stock in them. But it was just like, it was what it was, man. You know, I knew I had to collect music. I was constantly going to secondhand tunes in Oak Park, going through the cutout bins, trying to find anything that was housey that I could play, you know?
Okay.
Money was tight, you know. Obviously, I was still not to that age of 16 to have a regular job, so I was hustling just on gigs and cutting and mowing grass and shoveling snow and whatever else I could do just to get money, you know?
Right.
But I mean, the whole concept of me moving forward as a DJ, the whole career concept of it, it was like, you know, I need to do stuff that's going to be not detrimental to my career. I need to do certain things. So before DJ Chicago, I will put this out there. The original name was Jimmy the Housejacker.
Okay.
And it lasted about 6 months. It didn't get a lot of rave reviews. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah. It wasn't my thing. I couldn't play. I had all this vinyl and I couldn't really play all that vinyl I had because it was lack of equipment. That had a friend that was the runner at what was it? Shadows on Wednesday night, ladies' night. And he told my neighbor told his friends, like, you know, he's an aspiring DJ. You want to check him out, take him with you. So I showed up the ladies' night. I'm like 12. No, I'm older. I'm probably about 13, 14. And I'm at Shadows. Wednesday night, ladies' night, 21 over club in the booth. And I'm watching this guy. He's playing all this stuff. He's going back and forth. He's like, this is what you got to do. And he's giving me all these tips. His name was Alex. I'll never forget his name. His name was Alex. And I went with him maybe 4 or 5 times. Then one night he came and got me and he said, hey, got a question for you. He goes, you got some nice clothes? Yeah, I got some nice clothes. Put them on. So it was about 2 weeks before it ended. He took me to the 1-2-3. And I went to go with him when he did a guest spot at the 1-2-3. And I was like, that's it. This is it. I'm doing this. I'm in it. That's it. That was the 1-2-3 here in Fast Steady and Sundance and Cool Rock Steady and all the stuff that you were hearing from Bill and Julian on B96 at the time. It was like, that's it. I'm in. You sold me. That's it. So that's when I really buckled down and I started taking it real seriously. And I'm talking like I was in my bedroom nonstop, just playing constantly.
Poor mom.
yeah, you're telling me. When I discovered the Mega Mall and Pyramid amps for a cheap price, trust me, it was over. But ironically, there's another comrade of ours that we both know where we both started playing. We were like best friends back in the day. Is Orlando DJ Double O. Me
Okay.
and him lived in the same neighborhood. He lived on the block behind me, so me and him were constantly at my house.
I didn't know that. That's
Yes.
new. That's news.
Yes.
Oh my
We
God.
were constantly at my house, and he was real big into real deep hip hop. I'm talking like before Black Eyed Peas were really commercial, Black Roots, when Cypress Hill was just really deep. You know, I mean, he just
He was a bit of a on the wild side all the time though. I
yes,
just remember
well,
that.
and he still is. You know, I mean, he still is. And I give him credit, man. The guy's an excellent DJ. He is. You know, he goes
Yeah.
off the wall. He does stuff that's like, wow. But I give him props, man. He's a really, really good cat. I love the death, man. And me and him, our roots, where you know we started. He was the first person that I learned to take, I would say, criticism from in a positive manner. And I respect and love the man for that because he did something for me that a lot of people never did. Most people would point at you to say, "Oh, you sucked." He didn't say you sucked. He says, "Dude, how about if you do this? How about if you do that?" So when it came to him spinning hip hop, he was like, "Dude, please critique me." Dude, Angelo, I can't tell you the nights that we spent in my room with TDK cassette tapes and just for a whole weekend, just constantly mixing, and recording and playing it back till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And just, you know, critiquing ourselves. And then now I go back and I still got those mixtapes. I go back and I look at them and I go, wow, I came a long way because even then we sucked, you know? I mean, you learn to understand. You got that high hiss in the background, you know, the bass was too much on the EQ. It wasn't digital time, you know, nothing was digital, it was all analog, you know.
Right.
So it was a lot of good times, man. A lot of underage drinking, a lot of weed.
What?
Yeah, no, never us, right? But I mean, yeah, we had fun, man. And then from there, you know, it was. I said I told him one night. I said, dude, I got to get out. I got to start getting exposure. And he's like, yeah, I think we both do. But since he was really hip hop and I was really house, it was like, all right, I gotta start doing some stuff here. So I started doing everything from birthday parties to weddings, and it was all trial and error for a long time, dude. You know, learning what you had to do. I really didn't have nobody, you know, to look up to and say, hey, you know, this is easier if you do this with equipment. This is this type of brand and this is better than that. It was all trial and error. And eventually over time, I said, you know what? I need to be a little bit smarter with selections. I started doing more research, and eventually I ended up with, you know, a 14-foot van with about $40,000 worth of sounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was all, you know, Tyler, PV, Black Widow speakers, all, you know, T120 amps. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Blanked out for a minute there. But yeah, I mean, you know, and eventually further on down, you know, as I got older, obviously the scene changed and everything. I was just like, you know what, it's getting tiresome because nobody wanted to help you carry, you know, 6 subs up to the top of the Logan Auditorium no more.
Right.
And it was just like, you know what, I'm done. You know, I was like, I can't do this no more. But during that time, I mean, all the parties I've done, all the weddings I've done, all the, you know, reunions I've done, all the high school dances. I mean, I go back to the era of St. Greg's, Weber's.
Hold on one second. Let me, you know what? I just realized that I'm not plugged in. I don't want to, so hold on one second. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So if everybody's still watching, put your beers up, enjoy it. Here, my backyard, got the fire going.
Damn outlets that you, hello, can you hear me? Okay, no, I was gonna say that those outlets that you just plug it in, if you don't plug it all the way through, it's like, wait a minute, why is their battery showing low? What the hell's going on?
Exactly. I got you. So yeah, like I started doing a lot of guest spots, a lot of the high school dances back in the early 90s. Then I started getting booked at, you know, different my first big gig I was like, wow, my first club was Medusa's.
Right.
I did
One
Medusa.
second, one second. Don't hang up. Don't, dude. I don't know why it's not showing it. Okay, hold on. Oh, man. Okay. There you go. Sorry about that.
Are you there?
Yeah, yeah. I was just
Give me a second.
worried because
I gotta grab another beer.
I was just afraid that it said like 50%, and I'm like, okay, that's unusual. It's plugged in and everything. So go ahead. You were saying. So go ahead. You were saying about.
So yeah, I started doing like a lot of the high school dances. You know, Weber, St. Pat, St. Greg's. I got booked to a lot of those. Then in the early '90s, a lot of local clubs, tequilas, and a lot of people started doing stuff like Baron Rojo and the Orbit and Cadron.
Right.
And you started getting all these little, you know, hot spots that were opening up in the Logan Square, Humboldt Park area, and that's when it really took off. Met Mario Lattenhouse, and that's when me and Mario hooked up, and we had the store in the Mega Mall for a very long time, and you know, that's when a
Wait,
lot of exposure.
Wait a minute. You were partners with Mario and
No, I wasn't partners, but I mean, we made so much money there, dude. He wasn't greedy. I'll give him credit.
Okay. Okay.
He wasn't greedy. You could have called me a partner. I mean, he paid me well, you know, but I did a lot of stuff for him. I mean, when I came in, I did a lot of running. Of course, everybody knows Jordan. Um, I did everything with Jordan. I did a lot of stuff with a lot of the business end of it. So it was a real cool deal, you know. A lot of the winter music conferences we had a blast at, you know. During that stint with Mario, I mean, we did some heady stuff. I'll give him credit. You know, the guy, the Old Village Cafe that was over on Grand and Western.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up getting the Village Cafe, and we ended up turning it into the Millennium. And we had that for about a year. And the Millennium actually became a really, really big thing. And finally, something went down. I wasn't there that night. Something went down, and it got shut down. That's it. City said no more, and you know, that's how that ball rolls. That's a very common thing that happens in the city of Chicago with bars and clubs in the industry.
Well, I don't know if you. So, what year was this when you were, semi partners?
93, 94.
93, 94? Okay.
95.
All right. That was when I want to say that I came out with my mixtape with Mario.
Yes.
Mario was the first guy who, Mario basically gave me my shot to like say, okay, because at the time you guys did not sell Latin mixes at all.
Oh,
it was freestyle hip hop and house music. That was all it was there.
And gangster boogies.
Yes. And then I got this little cat trying to bother me. What happened is that because me and Mario knew each other, and I said, "Hey Mario," I remember, and it was Mario and I forgot his girlfriend at the time. I can't think of her name. And then it was a matter of, hey Mario, I got a mixtape. I want you to, if you allow me to come here and sell some. And he says, well, what are you selling for? And of course, normal prices of there. He goes, but I don't sell Latin music here, man. It's salsa, it's a merengue and salsa mix. He goes, but because I know you, give me 20 of them. And I was like, I said, okay, no problem. Here's 20 of them. And I'll never forget this because I tell the story about this is that after I sold it to him, I went over to Charlie's.
Yep.
Hector Hot Mix was there. And I told him, hey man, I just sold 20 tapes to Mario Lattenhouse. You got to buy any tapes? He goes, what do you, and he did the same thing. Oh, I know you. So go ahead and give me 20 of them, right? And then I went into the middle. There was a Spanish one. Do you remember her name was Carmen?
Yes, she was about 5 down from me, just past the food court.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And she sold Latin music.
Yep.
But she used to sell like Tony Boom Boom Badea's mixtape. I remember she had a couple mixtapes. She goes, okay, I'll buy 20 from you. I said, okay, no problem. And I'm there. And I remember, I forgot her name, but it was Mario Latin. Comes up to me and go, hey man, Mario needs you back at the booth. I go, what's going on? Mario goes, how many you got left of your tapes? And I go, well, I got about 40. He goes, give me 25 more. I go, what do you mean 25 more? What happened to the 20 I just gave you? He goes, I'm down to 4 more, 4 of them. And I was like, oh, okay. Yep. I give him 25 more. And then I get a beep from Hector Hot Mix. Hey man, you need to give me some more tapes. I'm like, what? What's going on? And literally that night I had to call Kenny because Kenny was my reproducer. And I called up Kenny and I said, Kenny, man, I need 300 more. And he's like, what? Pick him up tomorrow. Don't worry about it. I said, okay, no problem. And that was a snowball. And Mario, like I said, I get that. I tell Mario all the time, man, if it wasn't for you giving me that one, that one, yeah, come on, I'll take it.
I tell you what's funny. You know what's funny about this conversation just right now? We really show our age because we're talking about tapes.
Well, come on, that was a big thing. I mean, let's be honest. You can't take that. Let's any artist that comes from Chicago, Common will tell you mixtapes were a big part of it. That was a big part of Chicago history.
It was the culture.
Yes, the culture.
Whether it was hip hop, underground, house, whatever, it was the culture. Then CDs came out and like the industry just exploded. I know. hey, I'll take you back to another moment of me and you. You ready?
Okay.
Tropicana Tuesday night fight nights.
Yep.
I'll never forget those. I'll never forget the day that boxer, I forgot his name, but he jumped from in front of the DJ booth into the ring.
That probably Frankie Tasmanian Devil. He's the only crazy one. He was the only crazy one.
That's who it was. That's who it was.
Oh no! You know who it was? No, it was his brother Juan Iguana, because he was the kickboxer. He was the dude. That guy was nuts.
That's the guy who did it. Oh
yeah. It was Juan Iguana. He was a bit of a showmanship, but he was also crazy. Like that was part of his thing. Yes, you're right.
Dude.
He hung on the side and he went boom. We're like, what the hell? I was like, oh my God, that's it. He's gonna break his leg. And no,
he got up. And I remember I can't remember the format of how it was on Tuesday nights, but I remember that it was the one boxer. I don't know who it was, but he would just continuously fight whoever wanted to fight him.
That's Frankie Tasmanian.
That
was Frankie. That was his brother. He's the one that hey man, let me fight you. Come on. Yeah. He would knock you out in 2 rounds. Come on, next. Two rounds, next. And but people don't realize that he would play with you. He could have knocked you out right there, like in 30 seconds.
Yep.
Ruben would always be telling them, and Marco's going to tell you because he was there as well. He was always like, oh no, you don't knock him off right away. Try to make it last 3 rounds.
We're open to 2:00.
he goes, and then the strategy for a lot of people were like, okay, let him go through 4 or 5, and then we'll go on the 6th guy, and we'll go. It didn't matter. You couldn't
do it.
Nobody could do it. Dude,
that was fun. Those were good times, man. Tropicana was fun. It's one of the very few places I could say I went to, and I actually really enjoyed myself because it was a totally different atmosphere for a lot of things, period. Yep. And then the upstairs, when Palladium opened, that was just another huge thing. That was phenomenal for you and a lot of guys, man.
Well, were you one of the guys? Because I know Ed Santo, Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. But you were one of the guys that invited over to do the open DJ night, right?
Yes.
Right. So because there was so many guys. That's why I apologize for not remembering because there was so so I mean, I think I did open DJ night like almost every other week, or
Yeah.
almost like every third week or something like that. And it was cool because obviously between our four DJs, between Dracula, um, Viento, and Desma, I would tell them, hey man, let's give these guys opportunities, because for me, I was always looking for the next guy that, hey man, we can fill in some spots. Oh, if we need this or that. Because remember, I had just started Rancho Luna.
Yep.
I was doing Palladium as well. I was doing Tuesday night. I was doing and you know and then thank God Marco was like involved in that, because I would be like, Marco, hey man, give me a DJ, give me this guy, give me that one. You know, he was the guy that knew a guy. And that was Marco's job. I mean,
You know what I
seriously.
love about Marcos, man? You can give that guy $20. He like, hey, borrow me $20. Okay. And like he'll come back to you in 5 days and be like, here's 19 of the original 20. And like he'd make it through the whole week on $1.
Yeah.
And the other thing he has like this amazing ability for, if you tell him, hey Marcos, I'm looking for this record. Can you find it? The dude would like call you up in 3 days and be like, yeah, I found it for you. And it's like, dude, I've been searching for 2 years. Yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it. It's like, dude, what are you doing? I know a guy. Okay,
No,
okay.
that's the way it was, man. He was
And he
like,
still is. He still is. I mean, he's a very savvy. He's another guy I love, man. When of course the name's gonna come up, Al Cisneros. I watched the interview with you and him, and um, the whole interview with you and him, he left out a lot of places that he did. He talked about a lot of the mainstream stuff he did, but dude, that guy did so much more that he left out. So much more. He did the Baron Rojo. He did a place on Elston called Bristol's. He did the Centrum over on Ashland, which was huge for us, for me and Wonderful. Once again, and Wonderful, I don't want to get into it. That dude, he's my brother, man. I love that man. I helped him do a lot of stuff recently at his house. Me and Joe Payback at Joe's, another one. I love that man to death. I mean, those two guys, they're family. They're always welcome in my household, hands down. You know, if they're down and out, they've always got a place to stay with me. I mean, those guys are, that's it. They're blood. They're it. I mean, Ed stood up in my wedding.
oh no, I seen that. I seen the pictures and stuff like that. So
Ed,
like,
and DJ AM Arthur, they both stood up. Another guy, great guy, Arthur,
right.
down to earth, very cool person.
So I remember you doing with me, I mean the Palladium aspect of it and
Yeah.
doing the open DJ night. But were you working with Al at the time, the same time, or was that a little bit afterwards that you?
No, actually, that was in the very beginning of Al doing Thursday nights. Now, in
Okay.
that time frame, I had done a ton of guest spots. I had done Thursday night at the Polo Club when it was main drag there.
Okay.
I had done Polo Club with Ziggy. I was a guest spot, a few times there. When Ziggy would do off nights, he did the Orbit, Kadron. When I worked for Alan Ziggy, it was always, I need you to mix, and then I need you to be security. Then I need you to go back and mix again. I need you to go back and be security.
I forgot the security part.
Yeah. Obviously my shoulders are taking up the width of the camera, so there's a reason for that. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of conflict sometimes, because it was like I lugged 2 crates of records in. They were like, "Yeah, it's been for 20 minutes," and it's like, really? Well, no, we need you doing security. So it's like I got my records sitting back in the by the DJ booth. And it's like, okay, I brought my records to the club to collect dust. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I didn't mind either way. I got paid.
Right.
I enjoyed the nights. I had fun. And then there were some nights when it was at the end of the night where I would be like, hey, good job tonight. And I look at Al and be like, fuck off. Like, really, dude? Because like 6, 7, 8, 9 fights broke off. And it was just like, I'm walking out with exactly. I got a bottle busted up my head. It's just, but that was part of the industry, man. That was just the way things rolled, and unless you were there to understand the culture of house music and the Chicago club scene, from the late 80s all the way up to the late 90s and early 2000s, it was really a fun time to do things. I mean, I built a big name for myself getting into the club scene when it was daytime house parties. everybody cutting school to throw a daytime, everybody throwing a house party, everybody throwing a house party on a Friday night. And of course, then you got all the gangbangers. They're like, oh, yeah, we're doing a King party over here. We're doing a Cobra party over there. And it was like, all right, I'm not wearing no colors. I'll just show up. I'll be a neutral white or whatever. You guys do what you got to do. I'll just play the music. They're like, all right, you know, you're good. You're good. So, I mean, yeah, you got to know a lot of people. You made a lot of connections, you know. You became a Marco Hernandez is what you did, you know. You know, I know a guy, you know.
Right.
But for the most part, I mean, like, yeah, Al, he did so many spots, man. I mean, this one spot I'll never forget. He did this place called the Gallery that was on Milwaukee, Ashland, and like Augusta.
Okay.
Or no, Chicago. Milwaukee, Ashland, and Chicago. And I'll never forget it. It was an actual art gallery. And they took down, I don't know how he did it, but he convinced them to take down thousands of dollars worth of art off the walls on a Friday and let him throw parties in this place.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously not to be responsible for.
Exactly. And he didn't sell alcohol. He sold pop, water, and chips. It was 4 rooms. Al's the only person I could see in my lifetime that I've ever known that could throw a party and have a room that was filled with house, a room that was filled with hip hop and Spanish, and a back room that was blacked out strobe lights and goth. And it all worked.
Right.
It collaborated, and it was just insane, you know. And obviously, you know, the Royal kicked off. In the beginning of the Royal, it was me, Tim Too Hype, Wonderful, and Marcos. And I was always the opening DJ. Marcos was the next guy. Then it was, you know, Timmy, and then Ed, and then we'd switch off throughout the night, just keep going. And eventually Marcos went off to do other things. Tim's like, I'm done. And it was just me and Ed. After the first year, it was me and Ed for a very, very long time.
And I remember I used to go visit you guys every so often there.
Yeah, because it was just, we were tied down, dude. It was like our second home for 9 years.
No, and I remember that was like, I think you guys asked me to play there like once or twice, but it was me. I was more interested in going seeing you guys and just hanging out with you guys because I was like, it was because, I mean, obviously because you guys, I've known you for a while. Al, I know you guys, and I think it was just always, you know, oh my God, and then of course, let's not forget the effervescence Internet House of Prieto, IHOP. IHOP afterwards.
That is what I was bringing up in the beginning of this whole meeting. We're gonna bring up some stuff that, you know, I've talked about as much money as we spent at Hip House and Just Dance on music. I think of all things, we should own stock definitely in IHOP. Diversity in California is a staple for all of you watching. If you were a DJ, if you were a clubber and you hung around the DJs or you were friends with the DJs, you knew that at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 o'clock in the morning, we were all going to be at IHOP having steak and eggs, pancakes, hash browns, and everything else. You know it's bad when you go into IHOP so much that the manager reserves your tables for you on a certain night.
Yep.
And it was bad. It was bad.
We had it in with the managers because I remember there was an older Greek guy. I remember an older Greek guy that was George. Yes, George. Yes. And I remember he's like, "Hey guys, how you doing? Oh, I mean, this section's for you." We were always by this
section by the bathrooms.
Yeah, he's like, and he was excited every time we were there.
Yeah. Because you know what? He knew that we were going to keep things in place. We were loud, we were rowdy, but he knew that at the end of the day, if something went down, we had his back.
Right.
You know,
right. And he was, like I said, he was so excited. Every time we walk in, he would be like, "Hey guys, I got your section for you. Come on, go right here." And it became our little lounge afterwards.
Yep. Exactly. So
it was that setup because they had the long table, and then you had the short table, and then you had the 3 booths right here. And we were like, this is us. This is us.
We own it. So I was talking to Wonderful, and he's like, you know, when you do your meeting, he goes, you got to bring up the story about Prieto. And I started laughing. I'm like, I don't know. So I have to, man. So for all of you watching, and you can see Prieto's face, he knows what's coming. We were at IHOP one night, and it was just after New Year's. It was probably like end of January, and we got to IHOP like at 2:30 in the morning. And I remember we sat there. When we got there, it was cold, but we sat there and we talked. And me, Angelo, Wonderful, Mr. Wonderful, and Marco Hernandez, we sat in IHOP, and it started snowing. And by the time we realized it, it was like 6:30 in the morning, and there was like 3 feet of snow on the ground.
3 feet, dude. That was seven. I mean, like it was I mean, in a sense, because you couldn't move. The cars were all, it was
Everything was jacked up. It was bad. And like we were the last ones in the IHOP. Like there was nobody else there. We walked out, and IHOP's 24 hours. And we were walking out 6 o'clock, and we opened the doors. Angelo's like, "Oh shit." And he's like, I had to park on the other side of the parking lot. So Angelo takes off running for his car, and all of a sudden, you slip, and he falls. And he just doesn't fall. He slides underneath the back of his car. And it's like me, Mr. Wonderful, and Marco sat in one spot and laughed so hard. We couldn't even get up to go help the guy. But what I felt even more bad about that night is that after you fell, we stopped laughing and went and helped you get out from underneath the car. Your fucking car wouldn't start.
Well, no. What was funny about that? No, it wasn't so much of you guys laughing about it. It was because I think Marco turned around, and Marco, if I'm not mistaken, you yelled out because when I slipped and I went under, it was still snowing and stuff like that. You couldn't see me anymore.
No, you disappeared.
Right. And you guys were like, where's Prieto at? Where's he at? And I'm like, down here, guys. I'm down here. And then you guys started laughing because you guys, I remember seeing you guys because you're right. I slipped, but it was a funny slip because
you had the trench coat on. I remember that.
Right. I had the trench coat on, but me trying to prevent myself from like hitting the concrete that was there or anything that was there, I like put my hand there and I was like, it did a slow slide, and then it just kept on going all the way underneath the car. So all of a sudden, here's the snow, and it was still snowing, and then then I almost like jammed underneath the whole car, and I remember Marco going, "Where's Prieto at?" He's looking around, and then you guys are like, what? And I'm going, hey guys, like
over here.
Hey, over here.
Yep.
Yep, that's what it said.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun night that night. I mean, and you know what intrigued me more about IHOP, man? It wasn't the fact that we sat there and we all just joined there. It was the conversations. The conversations we had about where we were, about what happened, and then sometimes it wasn't even about music. You know,
No,
it was
remember the classic one was because I used to talk about numbers all the time. That was the whole thing. I was about numbers.
How many numbers you do this night?
Yeah, exactly.
I had 12 million.
I mean, here we're talking about Tuesday night boxing. We're talking about Palladium. So I had some good numbers going on.
No, I will never deny you that. I will never deny you that, dude. You used to come in and be like, "Yeah, we had 2,500 people." I'd be like, "I fucking hate that guy, but I love him." Cat's hungry, man.
Cat's thirsty. I think that's what it is. Cat's thirsty.
But yeah, no, I give you and the whole, the whole crew that you roll with, all four of you guys, man. You guys pulled numbers that were just phenomenal. I mean, I give you love and respect for that, man.
Yeah, we did incredibly just I mean, and I think this is true. I gotta tell you that this was I had created somewhat of haters about this because I used to talk about the numbers. And people thought I was bragging, but it wasn't about the bragging part about it. It was just that I was amazed.
Yeah.
And the numbers, I was amazed. I go, man, we did 2,500. We did, and of course there were going to be people like, like that. And I'm like, why am I gonna bullshit about it? It's what
Exactly.
it is what it is. And for me, it was amazing because I think like the reason why I did what I did about inviting all the DJs and getting people collaborating with what I was doing, I think that was the amazing part about it because it was trying to show people, you know, this is not just not me. It's not me. It's a little bit of everybody. They're doing their part, and
Exactly.
and that's where I was proud of saying the numbers I was numbering. That every time you and Ed would see me, hey, over the numbers, over the numbers, over the numbers. And I went all the way back. Dude, and how far back as 720 days, you
Yep.
know, hey,
Oh
we don't
man.
know that. So
720s convent. You're really, hey, you know what, man? One place I gotta say I loved spinning at, and I loved it, was River West.
yep.
That was one of the best places in the city, I believe. This the way it was set up, the whole atmosphere of it, and I love that place, man.
What wait, were you DJing for me or Leon? Because Leon was doing the event
No,
there
I used to
too.
do it for both of you guys.
Okay,
I
all
used
right,
to do it for both of you. I used to do River West, and then there was a bunch of actual underground rave parties, like underground house parties, that
okay,
got thrown there, and I got booked for. And then I went down the street, and I ended up doing the after sets at the box.
okay.
So there was just a lot of intertwining and stuff of things that I've done over the years. That, I mean, there's been so many DJ crews. I mean, from AOU to the Funky Bunch to, I mean, to a lot of guys. I was never a crew guy. I was like, you know what? I want to be friends with everybody. I don't want to be associated with the clique, and I rather freelance. That way I could do my own thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, and it worked out great. I mean, I loved it. I had a great career. I still have a great career as a DJ. I mean, mind you, given the way things are, and prior to the whole COVID-19 stuff, I really haven't been doing much. I've gotten married. I got a family, regular 9 to 5. I do what I do now, but music has always been, especially house and underground. It's always been a part of my life. It's
That's
always gonna be.
prior to your basement getting flooded and
Yeah,
that's,
prior to all that, yeah. Uh, it is what it is,
oh
But
my
yeah,
God.
I mean, there's nothing much that I could say more than that this city is just so diverse and so culturally like just enhanced with music. People say food, people say, color schemes, people say no. The music in this city is so diverse. There's how many places that you can go to in any other city you go to. There's not many bars or clubs that will play house, underground, hip hop, techno, Spanish, all in one night.
Right.
You go to certain bars, they're playing top 40 all night. You go to other bars, they're playing, house all night. It's underground night, it's hip hop night. There's no mixture, there's no culture that actually, it's like if you've got house, that's what you're gonna get is all the house heads. You
Right.
know,
Right.
when you do that, personally for me, when you do that, you're limiting yourself to numbers. When
Right.
you give diversity, you give a chance for everybody to show up. And at the end of the
Well,
day, it's about the dollar, man.
well, I think it all depends on also, because I've been to many places, and I think it has to do with creating the atmosphere to be able to do that as well. Because not
Yep.
all the time do you could just say, "Open the doors and I'm gonna play everything," because that's not how it works and stuff like that. I think you have to get the right people playing the right
Yes.
diversity, and I think that's one of the advantages that I had. And again, it goes back to the core of doing the open DJ night. It was my core to say, hey, you know what? I want to do something that's going to get everybody, on the same page and stuff like that. Because I remember, if you remember Palladium, man, that was a really hardcore Latin club. And
Yep.
then when I say Latin club, that was Spanish rock, that was Spanish pop, that was,
Yep.
and then and if you remember, Ed will remember this too, where I brought it. Let's say, Ed, you're gonna DJ, and I'm gonna have this conga player playing or this trumpet player playing with you and stuff like that. And that was the whole thing because all of a sudden now we're showing the people that love Spanish rock, Spanish pop, like, oh, this is house music, and you got a live instrument going on, and this is how and that's where or we had the merengue DJs DJing with some house tracks and stuff like that,
Yep.
and doing and kind of fusioning the music, and just like DJ Jesse De La Pena was saying about the fusions that you created with the acid jazz and stuff like that. And I think that's where the music quality comes into play with Chicago, because if you create that atmosphere of fusion and diversity, yes, but the fusion of music, I think it helps for, I think it helps for the night, because people can say, wow, I never thought this was going to be that kind of night. It's completely different.
Yep.
You know?
Exactly. And you know what the biggest thing is that I've seen? And once again, I'll bring up Al Cisneros, man. That man, he would turn me loose on certain nights, and he'd be like, look, whole night's yours. Ed's not feeling good. He's not coming in. And it's like, definitely. And dude, I would be able to play across the board on Thursday night. And if anybody's wondering what Thursday night really was, since me and Angelo are just talking about Thursday nights at the Royal, Thursday nights at the Royal was a gay, and how would you explain it? Just, it was a gay dance club. It was gay and lesbian. And I'll tell you what, hands down, the gay crowd is the best crowd I've ever spun for. You could play anything and they love it. And that's what I love playing. I could turn around and go from Cher to Fast Eddie, and it wouldn't change the mood of the club.
No.
It was so diverse with just the whole culture of music. It was insane. For a long time, believe it or not, I was against playing hip hop and Spanish at the club. I think it was about 4 or 5 years into a 9-year run before we actually had hip hop segments and Spanish segments. And when it actually happened, it was insane. It was insane. The crowds doubled, and I was like, Jesus. I was like, man, dude. I was like, ow. I go, we need to put more support underneath the floors. He's like, why? I go, I can feel the whole floor shaking.
Well, I mean, when I used to go to you guys watch the gay nights or gay night, because I knew there was two different aspects of the gay nights. There was the music aspect of it, and then I knew there was the live performance or the drag shows.
Yeah, the drag shows.
And you guys never did really much of the drag shows. You did mostly it was all just about the music, right? Yeah. Okay. And then I got the opportunity because the owner of Circuit Nightclub asked me to come in and to basically see about helping it, because he had a Thursday night. If you remember, that was a big Thursday night there, and he was focused on more of the Mexican gay night. That's what he was.
I don't want to cut you off, but you're catching the
Yeah, I went there. So now he's thirsty. I think okay. he's thirsty. He just likes to. I don't know why they like that fish water for some reason. Maybe it's got flavor. And Ed already said he's focusing on the cat more. So he's not paying attention to you or me. He's focusing on the cat. So there you go, Ed. There you go. Hey, you see? So, I just remember that was the whole thing when I says, and again, it was a matter of just cultivating that crowd, and exactly that, from Cher to Fast Eddie and stuff like that. I remember that, but you had to also fusion it, and that's what I think that was important for the gay community to understand. Hey, trust me, we're going to keep it this format, but we're going to do a little bit of this and come back to here, and go a little bit of this and come back to here. Yep. And I think they entrusted me. Probably, obviously, the numbers had changed from. I think they only have doing 100 people on a Thursday there, and I brought it up to almost 1,000 people there. So obviously they entrusted me.
There it is, the numbers again.
but it wasn't just me, because I convinced Mike Machiarello to bring in Dracula, Eclipse, Sombra, Phantasma. These guys that say, hey, they need to be part of this DJ here, because it just can't be me. It's got to be a fusion of everybody, because I knew Dracula was hardcore cumbia, norteñas, bandas, and stuff like that, and I knew Sombra, what he was doing as far as dance music and progressive, and then Danny with his style of music, and then just everything, and of course me doing the Latin stuff. So it was a combination, and it worked. And yeah. remember I was like, oh my God. And then obviously, what did I do? Moved it over to Ranch Luna to do another gay
Oh,
night. You know,
there you
two,
go.
two gay nights on top of
Gay
that.
nights. I mean, dude, and like I said, when we were doing the Royal, Al branched off. He did Dulce. He did the Condo Club over right there off in Milwaukee and Western. It was right next to the building that was right next to the McDonald's in the parking lot. The second
Right. Yeah, yes.
right.
On the east side of the parking lot. I remember on the
Yes,
second floor.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, he did so much that ran for such a long period. So when I watched the interview with him, I was like, man, I was like, he left out a lot of spots that he did. And like I said one of the biggest ones that me and Ed we had fun at was the Centrum. If you remember the Centrum, that was a Logan Auditorium sized place.
Yeah.
And we would pack that place for like a year and a half. He packed it every Saturday night. And it was just insane. It was a rave every Saturday night. Al would have to book a third DJ because me and Ed would sometimes have to go back up the security we had because, dude, me and Ed were busting drugs in the bathroom like half the night. We were catching everybody with drugs in the bathroom. I mean, people with shrooms, ecstasy, rolling on E. It was just insane. Like me and Ed would just look at each other. We're like, all right. So, then we show up to IHOP and there's Angelo. Yeah, 2,500. We're like, oh, okay. Like, go fall under a car, bastard. But but no, I mean, you know what, dude? At the end of the day, I don't regret nothing I've done. I mean, I've every DJ, every producer, remixer, as far as my career, dude, I've done a few tracks. I did some stuff on Strictly Rhythm for a very short period of time. Never hit. I had more success with co-producing stuff on like white labels.
Okay.
It was just more successful that way. I made more money doing that than actually anything else.
Right.
And then just, picking up gigs here and there, just keeping the name alive, having fun, enjoying it. At one point, there's a point in your career, depending on which way you're going to go. Like me, I got a regular job, and DJ was at one point one of the most important things in my life because I was going to push for it. Then I started realizing, you know what? I need to become more stable. And as the market changed, the industry changed. And I guess maybe if I wasn't willing to change with it or to do certain things, I realized, you know what? I still got my love for music. Right. Regardless if I'm up to date with all the technology that's out there, or if I'm not and I want to just spin on vinyl, my love for house and just being a DJ, it's never going to change.
Right.
You
mean like DJs tell you I'm retiring and they don't retire ever.
Exactly. When I hear somebody saying retiring, I'll be like, you know what? I want to be there today. You sold everything. I want to see it out of your house. Yeah, and it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. I got to say this now. My wife, I can't tell you how many times she threatens me. I'm going to throw your records out. And it's like, I look at her and be like, I can dig a grave real fast for you. She's just like, really? Like, yeah, but I love her. It's never going to happen. She knows how much it means to me. But like right now, everything's a hiatus with me because I got everything that happened in the basement. I got equipment packed up. And am I itching? Dude, I constantly got this itch. You know how hard it is sometimes for a guy like me? He's just driving home from work, hears something on the radio and goes, fuck, I want to sample that. I want to do. And you know what? You get home and all your shit's packed up and you're like, motherfucker. So it's just like, it's a constant struggle to battle. But then again, once again, when you get into the family life, you got to prioritize, you got to do certain.
Yep. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that because,
exactly.
You got to monetize whatever you're doing as far as, because I'm sure how you got gigs back then, it was a different way the gigs are doing now. And let's be honest with you, this industry has changed so dramatically, especially because of the technology and everything else, and the zooming and the live feeding and all that stuff. That changes the whole game. And as far now with COVID, here comes another.
Exactly. You can't even roll the dice with COVID because it's just like now we're at the mercy And guys like you, guys like Orlando, guys like a lot of people I know that have relied on being a DJ for a main source of income. I mean, dude, it's just like that this is a blow to you guys. And I commend everybody that has done it for so long and has kept it up and made it a career. I mean, dude, obviously you're doing well. You've done well for yourself. And I like a lot of other DJs, they've understood that this industry is not easy.
No.
It's not. By any means, when you see us, like me and you are sitting here tonight, we're talking, and we're talking about good times that we had. We're talking about good times that have had in the past, the conversations, the places we've done. But at the end of the day, dude, guess what? We've all had the struggle. We've all had those nights where nobody showed up. We've all had those nights where you wasted $2,000 on a party and you had 100 people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It happens. That's what this industry is about. That's, it's about a marketing scheme. It's about having the right people. It's about having the right names. It's about, who can bring the crowds. And there's just a whole lot that goes into this industry and into doing a certain thing on a certain night. Perfect example. You got places that are just they're established. That's it. Do you remember a place called Quinn's?
Yeah, that's where I DJ at.
Okay. So I was the resident. Like, there was a bunch of us, JB Jack and Larson, all of them. They were before me as residents. DJ Quick, not Carlos Quick, but the other
not
Mitch.
Quick.
They were all before me. Then after that, I took it over. I ended up coming in about a year after they decided, we're not going to do it no more, I ended up being the resident at Quinn's for like 3 years.
That was before they did the construction on the expressway. That's
right. No, that was on Archer.
Right. No, I'm saying they when I said the construction expressway, the reason why I knew Quinn had got hurt because when they rebuilt that pillar.
Yes.
I remember before you can get in access from the going east to west, and you could go right into the parking lot, or from obviously from west and go in the parking lot. But then they put the pillar, and then it created that island at the very bottom, and so you couldn't make that turn anymore. So anybody who drove by, they had to drive by, and you would miss Quinn all the time.
Turn around if you didn't know where it was.
Right. Because and that pillar now blocked a lot of it.
Exactly.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. So I was there when Rory Rangel was there before, after I left and stuff like that. And that's where I went to Pedrama Azteca. That's where I had went to from after Quinn, Malos to Quinn to Pedrama Azteca to Tropicana.
Yep.
That was right. That was the kind of thing. So you were at Quinn then, probably at the time that I just started Palladium or excuse me, Tropicana.
Tropicana in that era, yeah.
Right.
In that era. And Quinn's, 4 a.m. join on Fridays, 5 a.m. join on Saturdays. I would spend both nights there. 2.5 to almost 3 years I was there before it finally got shut down. Well, I'm going to tell you something. It was dead. It was dead up until 12:30, 1 o'clock. 1:45 hit. People started rolling in. By 2:30, that place was packed wall to wall. And all I would play is old school. I couldn't play nothing else. I couldn't play hip hop. I couldn't play any newer stuff. I had to play old school. And I got to say, out of all the places I spun at, that was probably one of the most memorable places because I love playing old school. I love it. That place brought me more memories up until the shooting. But I mean, literally brought me more fun memories of being a DJ. I mean, across the board, I've had more crowd reactions in that small place than I've done at the Logan Auditorium or Cadron or the Central. I mean, you got to realize a place that was that small to get that packed that quick and everybody to be that dedicated. I mean, that was the after night spot for industry people, to go and unwind and relax, and what was funny is when there was only one bartender and one server on duty until 12:45. And then at, 1:30, you had 5 more bartenders walk in because that's when everything kicked up.
Was Don still there, or
Don,
was it just
Don was there. He died. Don passed away the last 8 months before they closed.
and Tommy took over then?
And Tommy took over, and
And
I was there for Don and Tommy.
right, right. So that's what I said. I remember Tommy and Don. I mean, obviously for a very long time. So
Yeah.
it's pretty sad. So I mean, it's past the hour.
Yeah.
So I know this goes by quick.
Yeah.
Any like any remembrance of your top, like where you would say your highlight of your career in doing DJing? I mean, I would think the highlight of your career is actually getting married, but
I didn't DJ my own wedding, so yeah, that was a good thing. No, honestly, the highlight of my career, if you want to go as far as the biggest crowds, I want to say 2007. 2008, I got booked at a rave out in Indiana.
Okay.
It was just right outside of Lafayette on a farm, middle of a cornfield. 85 to
Well, I hope you're going to repeat that because I lost you here. So, hello, 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 hello. That isn't me. That's it. Hello, 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 hello. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, I'm waiting for him to come back on, but okay, there he is.
there you
Yeah.
are.
Okay.
Um,
So you're saying Lafayette, but yeah, that's where I caught you.
It was a little bit southeast of Lafayette, middle of a cornfield. When I actually found the place, this was before you had Google Maps and everything. You're actually opening up a map book, going, "Where the fuck is this place?" I'm out on a cornfield road, dirt road. I'm like, "Is this the right place?" And all of a sudden, I make a turn, and I make a turn on another dirt road, and I'm at the back end of a whole shitload of cars, like a line of cars. And I'm like, okay, so I'm guessing I found it. So I got out my car real quick. I looked, and the cars are going for like a mile and a half down the road. It's dark. All I see are tail lights. I'm like, all right, I found it. But as soon as I open the door, I hear the music, and I'm like, yeah, this is it. It's out in the middle of nowhere. Nobody knows where this is at. I'm like, I got this. So I get in, I do my thing, and I'm sitting there. They don't got me going on to like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, oh man, this is insane. I'm there by myself. Couldn't get nobody to roll with me. And I'm like, oh. So I'm sitting there and in my car, I finally get up to the thing. The guy goes, yeah, man, it's $35 to get in. I say, yo, I'm here to spin. I'm one of the DJs. So he's just like, what's your name? I tell him, DJ Chicago. All right, yeah. You're in the list. Go around back, park over here. Okay. So I get up, I get on the stage, and I got my 2 crates with me. And the guy looks at me. He's just like, who are you? I said, I'm DJ Chicago. I go, I've been booked by this guy, Craig, to come spin. Oh, yeah. Craig wants to meet you. I'm like, all right. Dude, this guy got a mixtape that me and Mario Lattenhouse did back in like 1995. And he's like, dude, I love this. Do you know how long it took me to track you down? I'm like, how'd you get my number? He's like, don't worry about that. I'm like, dude, this is from like 12 years ago. Like, seriously? He's like, yeah, dude. He goes, you're hot. And I'm like, you think this is hot? Wait till I go on. He's like, all right. And like I said, I'll never knock another DJ. But these are kids that were playing that were local guys from the farm industry. they played house, they played, you know, all different types of trance and techno, but they never perfected to use the pitch or the blending correctly. So it was needless to say that when I went on, it was just that was it. It was just balls to the wall, man. I mean, I had like almost 10,000 kids at my fingertips. That I will say is literally the highlight of my career. To
Right.
be able to walk, you know, that was it right there, man. You know, at that point I went, you know what? If I don't want to DJ no more, I could say, hey, this right here, this did it for me.
Very cool.
You know,
Very cool. So
very
it's anybody any last words you want to say to anybody that's out there that's logging on and people who
man, I name dropped a lot of people tonight. Obviously, Mr. Wonderful, Orlando Ortiz, DJ Double O, DJ AM, obviously Al Cisneros, you, um, Malca Hernandez. I mean, you guys have been staples in my life. You know, we've all experienced and shared a lot of memories together. And I hope one day we can all get together and just, you know, forget about music.
yeah, we'll go to IHOP.
I don't know about all that. I don't want to sit outside, man. I don't want to sit outside. I mean, no, seriously.
No,
you know,
no. I'm talking about wintertime. We're gonna be inside.
oh,
We're
hey,
gonna
you know what?
snowstorm.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. Before we get off, there's a back half to that story that you don't know.
That I don't know.
That you don't know. The back half to that story is we stayed at IHOP till 6:30 in the morning. We watched you slide under your car. We watched you go, fuck, my car's not starting. Then for some reason, we decided, let's go drop off Chicago's music and let's go to Myers or Cub Foods on Elston. Me, Eddie, and Marcos. Let's go shopping. I gotta do my grocery shopping. And at that time, Cub Foods was fucking 24 hours. So we're at Cub Foods and we're like, are you fucking kidding me? It's in the middle of a snowstorm. The car gets stuck in the parking lot at Cub Foods. So now you got me and Marcos in the back pushing fucking Ed's old ass celebrity, trying to get it out of the parking lot. Then they go to drop me off, and a fucking snowplow on Kimball Avenue is coming at us, and he's wailing his horn. He's not wanting to stop. So now I gotta jump out the car and help push Ed's fucking piece of shit celebrity, get it going so he doesn't get hit by the snowplow. So after you fell, more happened that night or that morning, if you want to call it that. But
I think I got the best part of the story then for me.
yeah, you did, man. But yeah, I mean, seriously, I mean, everybody needs, we need to get together, man, and just like, you know, and not only just the group of friends that we talked about, everybody. I mean, Pablo Gonzalez, everybody, and just, you know, just get together and go do something, you know, whether it's a barbecue or, you know, you want a social distance. Okay, well, we'll go to the lake and we'll fucking social distance 6 feet from each other. As long as we got
that's why I'm doing that silent picnic thing, because that's the concept that, you know, that's
okay. I didn't hear about that. What you send the info to me later, but that sounds interesting.
yeah, no, but exactly that, because keeping social distance, but yeah, we're going to be at a grove doing it. So
exactly. I mean, that works out amazingly, man. But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a bunch of people that have been influences in my life. The Garcia family, my Puerto Rican half of the family, even though I'm not Puerto Rican. I've done all the family parties, the Halloween parties. I mean, they constantly just, hey, we're doing a Halloween party, we're doing a Christmas party. So I was always in their basements, you know, doing parties. And you know, just like with anything, that brings you business. Somebody, hey, you got a card, you got anything you do somewhere, it brings you business from somewhere. Right. So I mean, like I said, there's
I'll give you one better story about Royale. So you know how many weddings, receptions had at the Royale?
Yeah.
So I got booked. I want to say this is 2009. Because you know, even though it was gay night at the Royale, so there were a lot of straight couples that would go there as well. And I guess this girl and this guy met each other, and their stipulation is that they set the wedding 2 years ahead of time. But the stipulation is that they were going to have the wedding reception at Royale. This is, you know, it was, I guess, convenient. And I was going to be the DJ that was the stipulation. The bride made sure those two things.
We're gonna happen.
And of course, I met up them at IHOP for the negotiation. And I go, okay, when's the wedding? And she says, and this is 2007. And she goes, oh no, the wedding's in 2009. I go, what? And I'm like, a year and a half from now? And she's like, yeah, this is the husband. And she goes, yeah, my wife wanted to make sure that we're gonna get married and we're gonna rent out the Royale where we met, and that you're the DJ. And I'm like, okay, and I give her my price and like that. She goes, no, whatever price. We don't, you name your price. She wants you. That's it. And I was just kind of amazed. I said, oh, okay, and like I said, I honestly only DJ'd at the Royale one time, I think, or two times, I think. I was not a regular at all, but because I guess they really love merengue and salsa. I think one of them was Colombian, so they really liked, what my mixtapes.
The Latin vibe.
But they also fact that they had met there, I guess, on the night that I was DJing, and that was the whole thing is like, now we met here at the Royale, so that's where we're gonna get married. I'm like, oh, okay. So I thought that was pretty amazing. But it'd be amazed how many times we're DJing wherever you're DJing at all many places, and how many times did you get booked out to do their weddings because of it and stuff like that. So that was, oh God, it was because of word of mouth and word of, like, hey, you know what, yeah, he does. Because I know to this day I get people that ask me, do you still do weddings? Not lately, but I mean,
you're like, well, right now I'm all over for weddings. Speaking of that, you want me to give out thanks. I don't know if they would be listening or if they would be logged on. I highly doubt it, but I'm still going to put it out there. I want people to understand there are more things that happen in behind the scenes of a person that just DJs. I want to say thank you to a lot of the people behind the scenes. And I'm not talking about the club owners or, the bartenders. Thank you to all of them too. But I'm talking about the sound technicians, the guys who set up equipment, the guys who actually do all the hard end work where all we got to do is show up and play. Mm-hmm. I mean, people don't understand that there are people that are in the bars and the scenes that deal with the low end shit of the stick just to make sure a night gets pulled off and goes flawlessly.
And I totally agree with you, because why do you think it's so heartbreaking for all these festivals that are canceled for the summer? Exactly. How many people are, it's just not just the acts and the promoters. It's everybody that summer jobs and the summer kids and the people who relied on the.
Exactly.
Oh, it's just sad, man.
It's heartbreaking, actually. It's actually heartbreaking to see that it's all sliding downhill right now. But just like with anything, dude, with time, things pass.
Agree.
In 3 years, 2 years, a year from now, this is going to be a thing of the past. And where are we going to be in a year from now? We're going to be back in the bars, back in the clubs. I'm going to be face to face with you and whoever else.
Right. We just need this to fast forward quickly.
Yeah, that's all we need to do. That's all we need to do. But I want to ask you one more thing before we get off here.
All right.
The sound guys. Do you remember?
Hopefully you're. Let's see what I remember. Let's see. Come on, Chicago. and then that's not me. This is, come on, Chicago. Hello. Come on. Hello. I'm gonna tell them, yeah, I remember. Yeah. Come on, Chicago. Come on back. Come back. I don't know what happened to him. He froze on me. I guess he's got to start it again. Chicago, come back to me. You left me there. So you said, do you remember? And that's where you cut off.
Do you remember Julius? He had Chicago Sounds and Lighting, and he had his brother Abraham. And Julius sold they sold all the equipment and the business to Sid Germain, the little Arabian kid and the black guy that used to do all the sounds for Al at the Royal.
I remember Sid, but I don't remember Julius. I don't remember Julius.
Julius was the head guy. Julius actually started Chicago Sounds and Lighting and sold it to Sid. And then Julius left and went to LA, to California.
Okay. Okay. That's why I came probably the tail end of that.
Right. It was nonstop. I mean, if I called them on a Wednesday and said, "Hey, I need to have you guys set up just a sub and a top, quick party, da da da," bam, they had it.
Right.
When I talk about people in the industry that are behind the scenes that deserve the actual applause and gratitude from DJs and everybody, it's these people. These are the people that you don't see that make your drunken night while you're stumbling out the fucking doors of the club worthwhile. If it wasn't for these people, we wouldn't, as DJs, be doing what we do for the people, period. And a lot of people just don't see that.
Right.
They don't see that. So I just want to say thank you to all the people out there that actually have done that for me, you, everybody over the years.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, James.
Okay.
That is it for that. It's already dark out there. I see you enjoying the weather.
Yeah, I still got my fire pit still kind of glowing in the background. I got to throw some more wood on it.
Nice. You're all good out there in the yard. So,
Yeah. I'm not complaining, man. It's got a nice little breeze, nice and chilly out. It's actually really nice out right now. So Angelo, man, definitely we got to get together. We got to, do some shit. Just enjoy ourselves, man.
Yes. Thank you.
All right,
everybody. The Front Door Show, DJ Chicago. Tthank you. Much love.
Love tacos out.